Nak na waha bar yasha Allah walakim la thumb call shab wahi baharacha wakachel yabashmel shah. Hey, we the Hebrew Israelites coming to you week in and week out through the spirit and power of Yabashmel Shah, preaching to you Negroes, Latinos, Native Americans, West Indians, and Haitians. In this life, one is repent, yea, for the kingdom of heaven is at hand. Call like Mla, Yahweh, Basham Yahweh, Basham Racha Hakodash. Wa Mashana Kabadim Zakwim now, Wa Malakim Shah Yasha Allah Zakwim Racha Gadawam. Wa Chasa, Wa Shalawam, Wa Barakim La Bachaya Shah Hagawa Yasha Allah Shalawam. So all praise to the Most High Yahweh, which means He exists. Bahashem in the name, Yahweh Shai delivers. Double honors to the elders and apostles of Israel, the elders and apostles of Great Millstone, and mercy, peace, and blessings to the elect of the nation of Israel. Shalom, which means peace. All right, so just going into Proverbs, the 7th chapter. All right. The first verse, it reads, "My son, keep my words and lay up my commandments with thee." All right, so you want to keep the Lord's words. So, had a precept I wanted to go to. This is John, the 14th chapter, and the 15th verse. It says, "If ye love me, keep my commandments." You see, so you want to keep the Lord's word so that you show that you love him. You see, and by showing that you love the Lord, it's showing that you're dwelling with that wisdom. You see, and the Lord only loves those that dwell with wisdom. You see, and also Proverbs 6:23. Because ultimately, if you don't dwell with that wisdom, and you don't repent from that, then truly the Lord not dealing with you, and in the end, that's going to result in destruction. All right, this is Proverbs 6:23. It says, "For the commandment is a lamp, and the law is light, and reproofs of instruction are the way of life." You see, so keeping the Lord's word is a way of life. All right, not keeping the Lord's word is ultimately going to lead to destruction. You see, if you take how we grew up, which this chapter is going to go into, but how we grew up in Babylon and the various different captivities, those were all death styles. You see, so we got to come up out of that. You see, in Micah 2:10 it says, "Arise, ye and depart." And we do that by taking on the way of life, which is the scriptures. All right, so we're going to Proverbs chapter 7. We can go to verse 2. It says, "Keep my commandments," which is the Lord's word, the whole book. The KJV 16:11. It says, "Keep my commandments and live." All right, and my law is the apple of thine eye. All right, and when you keep something as the apple of your eye, that means you cherishing it. All right, so let's go to Deuteronomy chapter 4. In verse 4, it says, "But ye that did cleave unto the Lord, your power are alive, every one of you this day." All right, so again, like the scriptures is reiterating, this is the way to life. All right, everything adverse to the scriptures is a death style. All right, and living a death style is going to lead into exactly what that word is, death. All right. Going to Deuteronomy 30 and verse 19. It says, "Therefore it shall be." Oh, it's a lot. This is 25. 30 and verse 19, it says, "I'll call heaven and earth to record this day against you, that I have set before you life and death, blessing and cursing. Therefore choose life," being the ways of the scriptures, the customs, and everything comes with the truth. All right. The Lord said to choose life because that's ultimately what's going to be better for you Negroes, Latinos, West Indians, Haitians, and Israelite foreigners. You see, it says that both thou and thy seed may live. You see, and that's how we're able to live. All right. We see what we see what the everything we learned in captivity has gotten us. It's not conducive. It's not it doesn't work for us. All right. So we got to go back to that way of life. All right. This is we'll go back to the second verse or third verse. It says, "Bind them upon thy fingers, write them upon the table of thine heart." All right, and you do that by this is Psalm chapter 1 and verse 1. It says, "Blessed is the man that walketh not in the counsel of the ungodly, nor standeth in the way of sinners, nor sitteth in the seat of the scornful. But his delight is the law of the Lord, Yahbashim Shah, and in his law doeth he meditate day and night." All right, so going back to Proverbs chapter 7 and verse 3, it says, bind them upon thy fingers, write them upon the table of thine heart. And you write them on the table of your heart, being your mind, by meditating on the word constantly. All right, and it also mentions in the Apocrypha that by meditating, the Lord is going to keep you rooted, and that's imperative. Coming up in the times we coming up into Jacob's trouble, you see, because if not, then on your house is going to be rooted up and destroyed. The house that was on that sand, roughly paraphrasing. This verse 4 says, say unto wisdom, thou art my kin sister, and call understanding thy kinswoman. All right, and that's because wisdom is likened to a woman. This is Proverbs chapter 5, also chapter 4. And we're going to verse 5. It says, get wisdom, get understanding, forget it not, neither decline from the words of my mouth. Forsake her not, and she shall preserve thee. Love her, and she shall keep thee. And it's referring to the wisdom. All right. So again, wisdom is likened to a woman in the scriptures. And just to go into that, this is Sirach. Sirach, the 15th chapter. And the first verse, it says, he that feareth the Lord will do good, and he that hath knowledge of the law, talking about the truth, shall obtain her. And as a mother, she shall meet him and receive him as a wife married of a virgin. All right. And again, wisdom is being likened to a woman in that scripture as well. This is Proverbs chapter 7 and verse 5. It says that they may keep thee from the strange woman, from the stranger which flattereth with her words. All right. And we can go to Proverbs chapter 5 and verse 3. It says, for the lips of a strange woman drop as an honeycomb. And this is going into Proverbs 7. It's going into America. All right, for those that have the eyes to see. It says, for the lips of a strange woman drop as in a honeycomb. So they come off to the flesh, to the senses. All right, the ways of America, they sound sweet, they look good, you know. It says her mouth is smoother than oil, but her end is bitter as wormwood, sharp as a two-edged sword. Her feet go down to death. Her steps take hold on hell. All right. And it says that her mouth is smoother than oil. Who's running this? Who's running this society? It'll be Esau eating the so-called white man. The scriptures say that, you know, basically, he's very deceptive, and he's good with his words. All right. That's going into that smoother than oil. You know, being very cunning and sly. You know, it says, but her end is bitter as wormwood, because in the end, ultimately, what America is going to get is the nukes. It says her feet go down to death. Her steps take hold on hell. All right. So that's where she's going to go to death. All right. Destruction. And it says bitter as wormwood, because that's what America truly means, bitter, because the end of this place is going to be bitter. All right. Because the Lord is going to hold into account what they've done in the past, the inception of this place, and how, you know, they made everybody go off. You know, the sins of this place has reached to the skies or the heavens, roughly paraphrasing. But we're going to verse 7 or verse 6 a lot. It says, for at the window of my house I looked through my casement, and beheld among the simple ones, I discerned among the youths a young man void of understanding. All right, and again, it's talking about Jake in America, you know, because without this truth, remember the scriptures say that to take hold on life, and the life being the scriptures. But those that don't hold on to life, they are in this category. This is Proverbs 16, Proverbs 21. In verse 16, it says, the man that wandereth out of the way of understanding shall remain in the congregation of the dead. All right. So life, again, being representing, or the scriptures representing life. You know, those that don't take hold on to, the ones that wander out of the way of life, going to remain in the congregation of the dead. All right. So those that remain in the congregation of the dead, they're going to get destruction. All right. Going back to Proverbs chapter 7, and we can go to verse 8. It says, passing through the street near her corner, and he went the way to her house in the twilight, in the evening, in the black and dark night. And behold, there met him a woman with the attire of an harlot and subtle of heart. All right, and again, it's going into Babylon, America. All right, we can get some precept. This is Revelation chapter 17 and verse 4. It says, and a woman was arrayed in purple and scarlet, and decked with gold and precious stones and pearls, having a golden cup in her hand full of abominations and filthiness of her fornication. And upon her forehead was a name written, Mystery Babylon the Great, the mother of harlots, and abominations of the earth. You see, so Babylon is that harlot. All right, going back to Proverbs chapter 7, and we was at verse 10. It says, and behold, there met him a woman with the attire of an harlot. You see, Babylon is that great whore, right? And subtle of heart. All right. So we can go to Psalm, the 144th chapter, and the 8th verse. It says, whose mouth speaketh vanity, and their right hand is a right hand of falsehood. All right. So, and going back to Proverbs chapter 7, it said, and subtle of heart. So they're very deceptive. It said that they use a right hand of falsehood. So your right hand represent the right hand that they use is basically saying that they rely on deception. You know, they're very cunning. We're just gonna go into his word subtle, because Esau Edom, who runs America, Babylon the Great, is very subtle and crafty. Psalm the 64th chapter says that his heart is deep. You see, it says subtle. It says, so let me just go to a different version. It says, CSB, a woman came to meet him dressed like a prostitute, having a hidden agenda. The heart is deep. It says, and there a woman met him with the attire of a harlot and a crafty heart. It says, then out came a woman to meet him dressed like a prostitute with crafty intent. The woman approached him seductively dressed and sly of heart. All right, so again, the ways and who runs America, on their mind is treachery and craftiness and deception. So just going back into their right hand of falsehood, because they rely on that subtleness and that deception. It says she is loud and stubborn. Her feet abide not in her house. All right, verse 11. And if you look at America, they try to push that westernization. You see, they don't maintain the affairs that they got. They don't try to take care of their own business. They always have to spread their philosophy, their democracy, and their way of life onto other people, on other nations. All right, this is Habakkuk chapter 2 and verse 5. It says, yea, also because he transgresseth by wine, is a proud man, neither keepeth at home, who enlargeth his desire as hell, and is as death, and cannot be satisfied, but gathereth unto him all nations, and heapeth unto him all people. All right, so again, just the point I want to get out of this was neither keepeth at home. All right, Esau Edom cannot maintain his own country, his own lands. He always has to go and fuck up everybody else's lands. All right, going back to Proverbs chapter 7. In verse 11, it says, her feet abide not in her house. You see, she's always into everybody else's business. It says, now she is without, now in the streets, and lieth in wait at every corner. All right. And that represents, so let me read again. It says, now she is without, now is she without, now in the streets, and lieth in wait at every corner. All right, who's at that corner? Jake is predominantly on the corner. You see, going back to verse 7, you know, Jake doesn't have the wisdom. So being that the ways that what is presented to Jake, he don't got that understanding. So he's basically open for the taking, you know. Going into Psalm the 83rd chapter, you see they trying to destroy us as a nation. We can keep going. It says, verse 13, she caught him and kissed him with an impudent face, said unto him, I have peace offerings with me this day. I have paid my vows. Therefore came I forth to meet thee, diligently to seek thy face, and I have found thee. All right, and that was verse 15. All right, so she came diligently because they know who we are. This is Psalm the 83rd chapter. And the first verse, it says, "Keep not thou silence, O power, hold not thy peace, and be not still, O power. For lo, thine enemies make a tumult, and they that hate thee have lifted up the head. They have taken crafty counsel against thy people, the Israelites, you Negroes, Latinos, Native Americans, West Indians, and Haitians, and Israelite foreigners, so-called." All right. It says, they have said, verse 3, "They have taken crafty counsel against thy people and consulted against thy hidden ones. They have said, come and let us cut them off from being a nation, that the name of Israel may be no more in remembrance." And they do this by keeping us low. You see, basically trapping us into different things, keeping us at the forefront in the bread and circus. You see, to show that the Jakes that come up after in future generations, that's all they have to look forward to, in their school systems. Hey, you was nothing but a slave, you'll never be nothing but a slave, and things as such. They keep us at a lower state so that we don't go into remembrance of who we was, because by keeping us down, they see that, or they want to attempt to keep their power structure going. You see, verse 5, it says, "For they have consulted together with one consent. They are confederate against thee." And then it goes on to list the different nations, with Esau, Edom being chiefly at the spearheading it all. You see, because in the past, when we weren't keeping the law, statutes, and commandments, the Lord wasn't with us if we wasn't keeping His word. And that's why they push. That's why they push to keep us low. All right, like it mentions in Judith the 5th chapter. All right, this is going back to Proverbs chapter 7 and verse 16. It says, "I have decked my bed with coverings of tapestry, with carved works, with fine linen of Egypt. I have perfumed my bed with myrrh and aloes and cinnamon." All right. It says, "Come, let us take our fill of love into the morning. Let us lace ourselves with loves." All right. So basically, from 16 to 18, that's basically her making herself look appealing. All right. So that Jake can go off. And again, they want us to go off so that they can continue to be in rulership, But like Psalm the 2nd chapter says, that's not going to come into fruition. You see, it's all in vain. It says, "For the good man is not at home; he is gone on a long journey." It says, "He hath taken a bag of money with him, and will come home at the day appointed." All right, and that good man being Mashalyam Yahweh. So basically, that's America trying to get Jake to commit spiritual fornication and go off. All right, keeping us at that lower state. It says, "With her much fair speech, she caused him to yield." With her much fair speech, she caused him to yield. With the flattering of her lips, she forced him. He goeth after her straightway, as a ox goeth to the slaughter, or as a fool to the correction of the stocks. All right. And it says fair speech. That fair speech going into, let's see. That fair speech represents telling Jake everything that he wants to hear. Let's see. Because Jake, for the most part, wants to hear those smooth things. Going back to the earlier part of this chapter, Jake likes those smooth things. And they say that in Genesis that Esau is very crafty. He's a very cunning hunter, you see. So what Jake like, It says, she seduces him with her persistent pleading. She lures with her flattering talk. NIV, with persuasive words, she led him astray. She seduced him with her smooth talk. NLT, she seduced him with her pretty speech and entice him with her flattery. ESV, with much seductive speech she persuades him. With her smooth talk she compels him. You see, and that's because, again, Jake loves to hear those smooth things. And some of those smooth things, what they like to tell Jake is, oh, you know, just for example, like, you know, you got to take care of your family, you know, so you should sell out for this reason, you know, just giving examples, you know. Or they might say, hey, well, we'll take care of you for the rest of your life if you do this, you know. Just going into, you know, just different things, a temptation of what they'll with some things that this place has to offer, so to speak. But going back to Proverbs 7, it says, till a dart strike through his liver, as a bird hasteth to the snare, and knoweth not that it is for his life. It says, hearken unto me now, therefore, O ye children, and attend to the words of my mouth. All right. So basically what the Lord is saying is, pay attention, you see, to take heed to the word, because truly it's for our benefit. So we should be listening ultimately. Verse 25, it says, let not thine heart decline to her ways. Go not astray in her paths. All right. And I'm going to get a precept. This is Micah chapter 2 and verse 10. It says, arise ye and depart, for this is not your rest, because it is polluted. It shall destroy you even with a sore destruction. So going back to verse 25, it says, let not thine heart decline to her ways, go not astray in her paths, because the paths and the ways of Babylon is polluted. You see, this place is destined for destruction, and those that don't want to come up out of those ways and paths are going to get the destruction, because again, this place is defiled, you know. Verse 26, for she hath cast down many wounded, yea, many strong men have been slain by her. All right. Verse 27, well, I'm going to get a precept. This is Proverbs chapter 31, verse 3. It says, give not thy strength unto women, nor thy ways to that which destroyeth kings. All right. And America is that strange woman, you see. So you don't want to give your time and what you got to offer to her ways, because going into this, you know, we're kings, and it would destroy us, you know, because again, this place is defiled. All right. We're going to the last verses, verse 27. It says, her house is the way to hell, going down to the chambers of death. All right. Let me get two more precepts. This is Proverbs 2 and verse 18. It says, for her house, I'm going to start from verse 16. It says, this Proverbs 2 and 16, to deliver thee from the strange woman, even from the stranger which flattereth with her words, which forsaketh the guide of her youth, and forgetteth the covenant of her power. For her house declineth unto death, and her ways unto the dead. None that go unto her return again, neither take they hold on the paths of life. All right, but the verse I want to give is verse 18. It says, for her house declineth or inclineth unto death, and her paths unto the dead. All right. And we'll go back to Proverbs chapter 7. Just going into the fact that the ways of America is going to lead to death. All right. And it said it twice in the scripture. This is Proverbs chapter 5 and verse 5. It says, her feet go down to death, her steps take hold on hell. All right. So if those that want to hold on to the customs, the ways of captivity, specifically or chiefly going into Proverbs 7, those that want to take hold on America's ways is going to reap destruction. All right. But I brought this out. That was edifying. Call Yahweh Bahashim Yahweh Shah Bahashim Karkadash. Shalom.